It's holiday season. It's my favorite time of year, and it's also the busiest time of year for holiday get-togethers. If you're hosting a party this holiday season, this episode is for you. This can be a special 2-part episode, and I'm going to be making 4 really great and really easy appetizers that you can make for your holiday get-together. In part 1, we're going to be making mini tarts with 2 different fillings, quiche, and then a ricotta spinach filling as well. And then for part 2, we're going to be making crab wontons and puff pastry crab spirals. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can get updates when part 2 is posted. I'm going to start off this episode by making the mini tarts with quiche filling. Now for our mini tarts, we're going to need a mini cupcake pan with 24 cups, and I'm also going to be using some store-bought pre-made pie crust, and it's going to make the recipe so much easier than having to make your own pie crust. Let's run through the ingredients we're going to need for our filling. So I'm going to use 3 large eggs and 3 egg yolks. We're going to need ½ cup of milk, and we're going to combine that together with ½ cup of grated parmesan cheese, or you can use smoked Gouda cheese as well. We're going to need 2 small shallots. We're going to need 1 tomato, and we're going to need ½ cup either smoked ham or smoked fish. And I have some really great smoked trout here I'm going to be using for this recipe. We're going to need ½ a teaspoon of salt, ½ a teaspoon black pepper, and ½ a teaspoon of dried basil. We're going to need 3 large mushrooms diced. We're going to need about 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped dill, and we're going to need some freshly chopped chives we're going to top the quiche with. For our first step, we need to saute our shallots and our mushrooms in a medium saucepan over medium heat on the stovetop with just a splash of oil until that shallot starts turning translucent. And then we're going to add our tomatoes, and we're going to cook the mixture just for a few more minutes. So I've prepared my shallot, mushroom, and tomato mixture on the stovetop, and once you add the tomatoes, you want it to reduce just for a few minutes so that juices from the tomatoes will evaporate. We're going to set this aside and prepare the rest of our filling. Now we're going to add our eggs into a large bowl, so we need 3 eggs and 3 egg yolks. And we just want to whisk everything together. And now we're going to add our ½ cup of cheese, and we're going to add the remaining ingredients. I have my smoked trout here. We're going to add our freshly chopped dill. We're also going to add our seasoning, so I have my salt, pepper, and basil here. Just give that a quick whisk. And we're going to add that shallot, mushroom, and tomato mixture that we prepared. And now we just need a splash of Worcestershire sauce. It's going to be about ½ a tablespoon. We're just going to stir everything together, and now that all our filling ingredients are combined, we're going to set this aside and we're going to prepare the pie crust for our tart shells. For my tart crust, I'm going to unroll a store-bought pre-made pie crust, and I'm going to roll it out just a little bit thinner. And also at this point, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So we're just going to roll out really nice and thin. I'm going to use a 2-inch circle cookie cutter, and we're going to cut out little circles all across the pie crust here. And then we're going to transfer these, and we're going to line our mini cupcake pan with our dough. We just want to carefully line each cup on our pan. You want to be careful not to punch any holes through the dough. Once we've lined our pan, now we can start filling our tarts. And we need about a tablespoon per tart, and this recipe makes about 48 tarts total. So after we have this pan ready, we can make another batch. We can top each tart with just a little bit of the chopped chives that I have here. And these are ready to be placed into the oven. So I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I want to bake these from anywhere from about 18 to 20 minutes. You want the edges of the tarts turning golden brown, and the little tops are going to puff up, and they're going to also turn golden brown. So I just took these tarts out of the oven, and these smell amazing. I can't wait to try some of these. And we're going to remove them with a teaspoon, and we're going to place them onto a cooling rack to cool. And you want to do this while they're still hot so that crust doesn't turn soggy. And while these are cooling, we're going to start working on our ricotta spinach filled tarts. Now we can make a ricotta spinach filled tarts. For this recipe, we're going to need 6 cups of frozen chopped spinach, and I like to spread my spinach just thinly over a tray, and that way it melts fairly quickly. And then we want to squeeze all the excess water out of it before we add the remaining ingredients. For this recipe, we're going to need 1.5 cups of whole milk ricotta cheese, and I prefer to use whole milk ricotta because I think the extra fat content really adds more flavor to the recipe. We're also going to need 1 cup of grated parmesan cheese, and we're going to need a medium onion diced, and then we're going to need a tablespoon of butter, and then we're going to saute this onion in the butter. And for our seasoning, we're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of each of salt, ground black pepper, and dried basil. For our first step, we're going to place our butter into a medium saucepan and melt that on the stove top. Then we're going to add our diced onion, and we want to saute that until it's translucent and almost golden brown. Then we're going to let it cool, and we're going to add the remaining ingredients. So what I did with the spinach is I placed it into a clean towel. You can also use a cheesecloth, and we want to squeeze all the excess water out of it. Otherwise, it's going to make our filling really runny. Then we're just going to separate it out so that it's not in clumps, and we're going to place it into a large bowl. So I have my large bowl ready. Just going to transfer everything into here. I'm going to add our remaining ingredients. We're going to add our sauteed onion into the mixture as well. And I've let this cool just a little bit before I'm going to add it in here. And we can also add our ricotta cheese, our parmesan, and our seasonings. I'm just going to use a spatula. I'm going to fold everything together. So I prepared my pan the same way I did with my quiche tarts. I prepared the tart crust, and now we're filling the little tarts with about 1.5 tablespoons of our ricotta spinach filling. And then we're going to bake this in the oven again for about 18 to 20 minutes and then until the tops start turning golden brown. Our ricotta spinach tarts are all done, and just like the quiche tarts, you want to take them out as soon as they come out of the oven so that tart crust doesn't get soggy. I'm just setting it onto a cooling rack to cool, and I'm using a little spoon to help me take them out of the pan. Tarts turned out beautiful. Now, if you don't want to serve them right away, you can keep them warm in the oven, but not for too long so that they don't dry out, or you can even make them the day before and then just warm them up when you're ready to serve them. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Part 2 of the special 2-part episode is coming out soon, and in the next episode, we're going to be making really delicious crab wontons and puff pastry crab spirals.